Sometimes you read a new comic series and it leaves you desperately wanting more, so you wait, but then you realize, oh wait, that was the last issue. So I finished reading Newburn, published by Image Comics, written by Chip Zdarsky with artwork by Jacob Phillips. You know, when I look at the covers, they do remind me of the loading screens in Grand Theft Auto. Now, in all seriousness, this is a good comic book from start to finish, but I can't help but wonder what it would be like if it was so much better. Welcome back, my fellow comic book friends, to Comic Casper, to another spoiler-free review, so let's kick it. Newburn consists of a total of 16 issues, and it tells the story of Easton Newburn, a private detective without loyalties, investigating conflicts between rival crime factions. On one of his investigations, he recruits a young woman called Emily, as he can tell she has the street smarts required for the job. Together they follow murderers, arsonists, and corrupt officials whilst trying to stay alive. From the beginning, you get the impression Newburn is a tough individual with years of experience dealing with criminals and the law. He's primed and ready to go when he needs to be violent, but he's also tactful and intelligent when he needs to be. Chip has previously done a great job with Daredevil, and it feels like he's having some more fun with the criminal underworld in Newburn, with a story that's a little more rooted in reality, as you won't come across any superheroes or villains for that matter. The art reflects this too, and it can be expected as it's a reflection of the style brought about by Sean Phillips, who is the father of Jacob Phillips, and has worked with Ed Brubaker on countless criminal-themed comics. The art has a combination of bold watercolors coupled with realistic and at times minimalistic pencil work that does the job to portray a blend of gritty meets vibrant. Our protagonists directly report to the Black Castle, which is an amalgamation of crime families working together. Newburn is often recruited to assist in resolving suspicious crimes, which may or may not tie back to the families, to ensure all the gangs are behaving themselves and not crossing any lines they shouldn't. So what makes this comic good? Well, I am a fan of noir and procedural stories, and as far as this one goes, it starts off strong. It immediately feels like it belongs in Brubaker's criminal underworld of comics, while still feeling original and in line with Chip Zdarsky's vision. There's plenty of tense moments and intrigue, interesting and compelling characters, and many situations that are believable because they have been thought through thoroughly by the writer. I like how the story takes the time to show us multiple angles of crime, from civilians to police to the crime syndicate and the prison system. You get a little taste of the different sectors surrounding the criminal underworld and how they all function. So what prevents this comic from being better than it already is? Whilst the build-up and the middle of the story are very strong, the ending, albeit good, felt a little rushed and somewhat predictable. Now, because the story has moments of immense depth and creativity, the ending in comparison didn't quite live up to those moments. Don't get me wrong, it's not to say that it was bad, but given Chip Zdarsky's track record, which was stellar up until this point, I would have wanted more. And not just for the ending, but for the story to be fleshed out further along with all the characters. Ultimately, I was craving more world building, more stories, more plot threads, and frankly, just more. In the second half of the story, we get a better idea of who Newburn is and why his life has resulted in him working as the mediator of the criminal syndicate, the Black Castle. Newburn's ability to flesh out characters is one of its many strong points, but it feels like it was cut off at the knees when the finale suddenly came rolling through like a freight train. So what went wrong? Well, I'm under the impression the comic was cut short and therefore it didn't get to fulfill its full potential based on a number of factors. The first and most obvious one being poor sales numbers. If not that, then maybe the creator lost complete inspiration with the world and the characters in it. Or perhaps the story felt complete to the writer and he was ready to move on to other projects. Regardless the reason, it's an absolute shame that the series was cut short at 16 issues. What is already here can't be dismissed, as it's entertaining, well written, and has the kind of characters that got me invested in the story. Ideally, I would like to see something like this, but with more mileage. Hopefully I'm not the only one with that mindset, and if the opportunity for this to be printed as a deluxe hardcover were to arise, then I would probably be one of the first in the queue for that. Now I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below if you have read this series and what you thought about it. Obviously as spoiler-free as possible. Or if you have been reading some of the indie comics, what are you reading at the moment and what's getting you excited? Always love to hear that stuff. And a big thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll catch you soon.